thank you for another opportunity to break bread with brothers and to have this opportunity to portray your spirit onto the viewers, whoever watch, Lord. I want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to be transformed, to be renewed by this, Lord. And I pray that whatever we get from this, Lord, that it changes us as we leave this room. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. What's going on, family? We are back. This is the intro podcast.
Hey.
This is your boy, Willie Beeman. If you don't know who that is, I promise you, go watch the movie.
Go watch the movie.
Man been promoting this movie.
Like it's a brand new,
like it's brand new. Hey, that's okay.
Jamie, come on, man. I promise you, I want to be in part 2.
Let's do part 2, Jamie.
Part 2, man. I gotta lay my line up. Introduce themselves. To my right, what's up,
it's
brother?
Your boy Taz in the building.
Let's go. To my left. First left, I guess.
The first left.
Which left? It's your boy T.
Hey, and to my left. What's up, brother?
What do I call myself?
Whatever you want to call yourself, bro.
Hey, I got people watching, you know what I'm saying?
So what had happened was...
Yeah, y'all can just call me JJ, you know what I'm saying?
We got
JJ
JJ in the
building.
house.
JJ. You know what I'm saying?
That boy.
Got JJ in the house. Y'all, it's getting ready to be a great topic on today, man. This is something that is way heavy on my heart. Shout out to the Pivot Podcast that I follow. Shout out to Shannon Crowder. Shout out to Freddie Taylor, man. Shout out to Ron Clark, those guys. And hopefully one day, man, considering we're on this sports wave, the sports therapy type thing, we might have the ability to interview them. I'm just speaking into existence.
Man, thank you for
introducing
me to the Pivot Podcast.
Yes, bro.
Because I've been checking out some episodes. It's pretty dope.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, the Pivot, man, they got great content, great guests on there, and they don't just focus in on people who are in the sports arena, but everybody.
Yeah.
People from all walks of life. And so, getting to it, the context for today will kind of give you guys some backdrop, those that are watching and will be watching this. So, the last episode that I watched, they had Anthony Mackie on there.
Okay.
Y'all who don't know who Anthony Mackie is, he's a well-known actor in the entertainment and film industry. And so, also the new Captain America.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it.
Hey, congrats.
Yeah, congrats getting that role. And so as I was watching it, like halfway in the show, he talked about following Denzel Washington and his leadership and the way he approached theater and film and just movies and things of the sort. And so he mentioned one time in his career where he was in New York doing his own thing, right? And so he walks down the street, and he sees Denzel Washington. You know, he comes to the back door, sees Denzel Washington doing his thing. And after Denzel finishes, Denzel comes out, walks around. Everybody that bought tickets to the show, he signs each one of their programs. And so, in Anthony Mackie's mind, he's like, okay, why are you doing this? What's the purpose of you doing this? And so Denzel Washington tells him, you don't know, man, I used to be a garbage man. Yeah. Like, I used to pick up trash, back in the day. And so if it takes me signing everybody's program for me to not go back to picking up garbage,
line them up.
Line them up, baby. Line them up. I'm going to sign everybody's program. And to me, that gave me revelation of Denzel's mindset. That's real. His heart, his drive, his will to put his family in position to build, for the Washington household. And so my question is, guys, and those that are watching this, my question is, has there ever been a turning point in your life to where you said, as long as I continue to do this, I'll never go back to that? So
for you guys that are watching this or listening to this, if you want to answer and share your story, send us an email to spotlightmedia.info@gmail.com. We will read your story, and if you have a picture, we'll attach your picture to it.
Facts. So I'll repose the question. Has there ever been a turning point in you guys' life to where you said, as long as I continue to do this, I'll never go back to that? Anybody want to kick off?
I'm ready to jump in if somebody else don't jump in.
Go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead, Troy.
I have been playing piano and singing since I was 7 years old.
Right.
And
that's a long time.
Wait, what that's supposed to mean? Are you trying to Kevin Hart me?
I'm just saying.
That's like a damn moment. You trying to Kevin Hart your boy.
I'm sorry. Continue.
I am 40 plus though, so yeah, you kind of right about that though. Whenever I moved out here, I want to say 2002, 2003, right before the hurricanes hit Louisiana, I was homeless and I slept in my car, ate when I could. I remember I used to go to the Exxon off of Oakland, and without knowing, the cashier would just let me just get free food, free drinks, free donuts, free whatever. And for that time, you know, I was good because it just seemed like even in that situation, God made a way to make sure you're not going to die and starve. So as time progressed, I got back, and keeping in mind at that time, I had what I consider took a godly sabbatical. Wasn't doing, you know, church or, you know, playing or singing as I normally had been doing throughout all my years or whatever. But through going through that situation, whenever I got tired, I was like, God, if you get me out of the back seat of my car, if you get me from having to have a gym membership just to take a shower,
Wow.
I'll never ever go back to where I forsake who I know you are to me. So I got back into church, and I started playing. And when I got back, because of my dedication and my determination to make sure that I never went back to being homeless, I was paid, let's say, double of what I was getting before.
Wow.
And I look at it as God, it's like, okay, you told me if I do this, you will do this. And I'm like, God, yes, that's exactly what that is. So God was, so to me, he was like, since you showing me that dedication and you're giving me your word is your bond, I'm not going to just allow you to go back in it with what you were making. I'm going to make up for lost times.
Wow. Love it.
So it's like, right now, true enough, I'm not planning singing now, but what God done was he took that gift of music and expanded to media to where, like, I'm making money. Like I sent you guys a message in the group text day before yesterday. I woke up and my phone going off. I need you to, I'm booking you to do this, booking you to do that. Now I'm like, God, if you allow this to happen for me for the rest of my life, Spotlight Media Group is where it's going to be at. Because I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like to have people laughing at you that know you hungry, that know you homeless, that know you don't have anything, but don't offer anything in its place.
Wow.
So God, if you get me out of this and you keep me where I am, if you keep me booked and busy, number one, God, keep me so booked and busy where I don't have the ability or the mindset to want to do anything else.
I love it.
Because for me, whenever I'm sitting at home, honestly, and I mean, it's just my true transparency, whenever I'm sitting at home and I don't have any work to do, my mind be everywhere. And I'll be thinking about everything I can be doing that's not a God. and that's just the truth.
Nah, thanks, bro.
So I'm like, God, if you can keep me so busy to where I don't have time to do nothing but what the assignment is, watch a little Law and Order, because I love SVU.
Hey.
Benson, hey. And sleep, I'm good. Oh, that's my ringtone. Kong kong. Yeah. I'm that serious about it.
It's funny.
So God is using that, and I'm like, I'm not trying to. I don't care if I make $1 million today, or if it takes me another 2 or 3 years to make $1 million. As long as I can go to bed and say, God, at least I made something today with this vision that you've given me, which is a passion. I'm good.
Give us this daily bread.
Daily bread.
Yes, Lord. I love it.
So yeah, that's my thing.
I love it. To the left, whoever want to keep this train rolling.
I know who I want to hear from, but I'm not going to put them on blast.
You might as well, man. Whoever it is.
I can put them on blast.
We go by age, you know.
Wow.
Wow.
Wait,
Was that a shot?
He throwing
It's-
shots.
You did do me though.
That's how it
I
goes,
did.
You know what I'm saying?
I did, but I was, that 7 hit me kind of hard. My bad. I shouldn't have said that. It was supposed to be inside.
But since he
and it
did,
came
then I'm
out.
gonna do this. Dang it.
It's a respect thing. I respect my elders. Let him go first.
Oh, and then he called you an elder.
Elder.
Well, I mean, technically
Technically,
No,
I am an
technically
elder.
you are.
Yeah, that's crazy.
elders.
So, first off, just to kind of bounce off of what you said, you mentioned you know what it's like to be hungry.
Yeah, man.
I love that.
And if anybody's ever been on a fast, I've been without food for any given amount of time.
Yeah.
Boy, when you see that plate, when that clock strikes 12 and it's time to eat, I'm talking about it goes down.
Yeah.
So just to know that, you know what, you got to that point where like, you know what, because I know what it's like to be hungry, I'm gonna make sure between me and God, I'm never gonna starve again.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that brings about a different determination.
Yeah.
And I can definitely respect that.
You just made me think about something.
Okay.
Not just hungry for money, hungry for success.
Right.
Because, like, whenever I got the opportunity, my first trip to travel to Los Angeles for the BET Celebration of Gospel, and I was able to literally sit down and talk to every celebrity that hit the stage, I was like, I want this.
Right.
Whatever I have to do to get it, I want it. So that hunger, just to be able to post a picture with Willie and say, like, I just talked to the greatest man ever.
Right.
Yeah.
I want it.
Yeah,
Go
that's
ahead.
got to be a good feeling. So I would say, for me, what was that turning point? I probably had a couple of them, but it's like I'm not going back to that. I'm not going back to that either.
Right.
I ain't like it like that. But I would say probably a major one for me was going from being a temporary employee to going permanent. I was like, Lord, because it's a different grind. And then if you know about being a temp, there's no benefits
None.
in being
At
a
all.
temp.
No, facts.
So when God gave me the ability to get hired on, it was like, all right, Lord, since you did this, who don't ever let me go back?
Yeah.
So I always made sure I put in 110% so I don't have to go back to temping anywhere
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
If you ain't talking about hiring me on, we ain't gonna have no conversation.
Yeah.
But that's also indicative of now I know I'm worth it.
Hold on, let me search that word indicative. I gotta go to college to talk to you.
Say over
Indicative.
there. The big warriors, son.
Siri, what does indicative mean? And she gonna answer me too. Don't answer me, I'm joking.
Oh, Lord.
But go ahead.
Stupid.
So basically, I realized, you know what, I deserve this.
Yeah.
I'm worth this. I have what it takes to do this. So now can't nobody shortchange me and say, oh, I'm gonna bring you in as a temp with no benefits.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna be able to take off vacation and get paid for it. You won't be able to do me like that again.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be definitely my turning point. Say, you know what, I'm not going back to that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So no disrespect to any temp, but let me also encourage those that are temps. You know what, you can't get hired on. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Facts.
And the doors are open, even
Yeah.
if it's not where you're at right now. Another door open for
Facts.
sure. So be encouraged.
How long did it take you to feel worthy?
Ooh, that's a struggle all the time.
Yeah.
It may be in different arenas, but that's a struggle all the time. It's always gonna be, am I worthy for even a person? Am I worthy to be in that number? You talking about sitting down with famous people? Like,
Yeah.
Am I worthy?
Yeah.
But then I've been in regular conversation, just in a normal place with famous people. I done talked to athletes and things like that. At the time that they're athletes, it's not like they were retired and then I talked to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
I've been
were.
able to sit down and have conversations with athletes.
Wow.
And they don't look at you no different.
Man, when I tell you, when I learned that, I was like, y'all literally just talk to me just like I talk to my brothers and my sisters and
Yeah,
my
it's a
homies.
blessing.
Yeah.
Because, like, my first time, I remember I would say I talked with Shantae Moore and Kenny Lattimore whenever they were together. And I was in fan mode. She was like, baby, just calm down.
It's okay. It's
I
just
was
me.
like, but do you know who you are?
Yeah.
I
She was like,
think they know.
Wait, and that's exactly what she said. She said, I think I do know, but just calm down. And we had the most relaxed, and we laughed. And even just for her to put her hand on my shoulder, I was like, oh, Jesus. Take me down. It's not gonna get no better.
Oh, man.
But I love it whenever you can just be relaxed with the celebrities or whatever.
I love it.
Yeah.
My guy?
Jay.
I didn't know if you
Yeah,
Let's
that's it.
go.
Yeah, so he got his. I'll close it out.
For me, a time when I was like, I'll never go back as long as I'm doing this. Probably when I'm not gonna give the full thing because that's a testimony and that's a lot of stuff right there. But there was a point in my life where because I didn't grow up with my father, I didn't see my self-worth, and I tried to find my self-worth by surrounding myself with other things, whether it be women, whether it be substances, whether it be, games, social media, whatever it is. Like, I was consumed by that thing to try to make myself feel better for what I was lacking. So, at one point, I was just seeking something, and then I feel like God was telling me, like, you're looking for all these things from other people and other things except the one that can actually fill the void. And I'm the only one who can fill that hole in you. So when he called me to him, I was like, all right, I'll do it. And in that moment, it was like, as long as I'm following God, as long as I'm chasing after him and his son, I'm never going back to, whatever you pulled me out of, whatever, whether it be late night drives, trying to go text some random short, whatever. I'm not going back to that. And the way I stay out of that is by following you. And I feel like that was the best decision of my life. And that has led to a lot of different decisions, whether it be going to therapy to heal, whether it be, reconnecting with family members that I may not have connected in the past because of hurt and stuff like that. It's just that decision has done so much for me. So, yeah.
How old are you?
24. I turned 25 this year.
Pardon the way I asked this, but where in the hell did you get so spiritually mature? At what age did you realize?
That was going to be my question.
No. Yeah. So what is hilarious is, for y'all who don't know, me, Montez, and Willie used to go to the same church. Montez has seen me grow up from, 7, 8?
Yeah, 7.
Something like that, and I did not used to be like this. I used to go to church.
With the face.
I used to be like, let me go to church and hang out with my best friend at the time, Jaden, which was the pastor's grandson. Possibly, if his cousins came up there, you know what I'm saying? Them young ladies, they came up there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for like a long time, they would be like, oh, son, there's something on your life. And I was like, I'm not listening to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then I don't know what happened, but there was like a point where I think grandpa said, like, there's going to be a time where you realize, like, I need to become a man. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And when he told me that, like, my mind started, like, looking at stuff differently. And I know you said, like, spiritually, but it's just like, when he said that, it was like, mentally, how do I become a man? And in seeking how to become a man, it led to that.
Yeah.
And then I started hanging out with Montez, Willie, whether it be Bishop, whether it be my grandfather. And I just started hanging around a lot of older men, and I feel like that matured me. So when that matured me naturally, it made it easier for me to mature spiritually.
Well, I just want to commend you, man. Like, you are, like, for your age, I look at, even in church, I look at your intensity of your worship. I look at that intensity. I'm like, this is if I was that intentional at your age, I would be so much further. Right. I would be so much more disciplined now. So for you to be there at this age, I can only imagine what God is going to do whenever you are in your 40s. I think that there are a lot of young people that need to see people like you. Who will understand that it's okay for me to still live my life, have fun within certain lines, and still represent God. Because I believe that there are people who are young boys or young girls that want to live for God, but whenever they are around another group of people, they have to change or become that atmosphere. How do you feel about that? Yo, we just interviewing you today.
That's heavy.
I'm not gonna lie. For the past 2-3 years, that has been something I've been struggling with myself. I just talked to Pastor Laura about that literally maybe like 30 minutes ago. It's like I don't feel adequate to do the things that you're asking me to do. I don't know if I'm praying right. Like I'm doing all these things. It's like I don't see it. And she was like, just keep doing it because you may not see it. You may fail, and your failure may be able to help someone out. She was like, how can you ever help someone?
Deep.
You know,
your
she's like,
failure may be able to help somebody.
My God. Yeah. Like if you never struggle with alcohol, and I'm like, how do I get over it? You can't tell me nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you struggle with it, you can be like, all right, let me help you out with that. You know?
Right. It's heavy.
So
Appreciate it.
Walk heavy.
I love to get you active. I promise I love it.
You know,
That's heavy.
To answer your question, how to deal with that, when it comes from being, what's the word? Being okay with who you are. And not just who you see yourself as who God says you are. That is the hardest thing I feel like us as believers struggle with is, yes, I might think that I'm this, I'm that, but or how other people see me, but how does God see me? Because he's the one who created me. So even if I don't feel, because that's what we mainly lean on is our feeling, what does God say? And repeating that to yourself. A lot of times, I have it on my wrist right now, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know how the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and to bring to expected end. That is something I have to repeat to myself all the time. Even though I may not see it right now, even though I may not understand, I may not know how this is going to go up, down, whatever, I know that it's going to come to an expected end and it's going to get better because God said so. Not because I said so, Montez, Willie, Pastor, President, no. It's because God said so. Because he said it is going to happen. And just repeating that to yourself in those low moments, I feel like is the best advice I can give anyone who's struggling with code switching, as they say.
Yeah,
or
code switching.
Trying to change to, just be seen in different lights. Just remember what the word says, what God says about you, and I feel like it can get you through any situation.
Okay, Willie, I'm gonna let you go, but then he said something that sparked another question, but I'm gonna let you undo.
No. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. G.
And this is for anybody. Knowing that God knows the plans for our lives, how difficult sometimes is it for us as black men whenever we're not necessarily as successful, or we're not necessarily making the money that we want to make, or we're not necessarily doing the things that we want to do, to think on that scripture and actually believe it, because I know what I want to do. I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but it's not happening. But then that scripture come to mind. I know the plans. God, if you know the plan and you've already given me the vision, why is it taking so long to happen? And how do I stay encouraged enough to stay in that place so that whenever that season comes, I can actually fall into it and not get so discouraged that it took this long for it to happen?
I don't know if that was a question or a statement. I ain't gonna lie, my fault. I was listening to what you said, but I'm not the biggest believer in. Let me not say that. I have been somewhat sheltered in my life.
Okay.
So the way I see society versus you guys is totally different.
Okay.
Right. The first time I had an experience with the cops, right? 911, 50, whatever y'all want to call them.
Yeah, 50.
I never. I was never scared. It was like, they doing their job, right? But I know that's different for other people. So I'm gonna speak from my perspective.
Yeah.
When black men, I believe you have to have people around you. It says in the word in Genesis that it's not right for man to be alone. So he gave him Eve, right? So what I get from that, I believe God has called us to community, right? So you have to have, a church community so you can go to in times of distress. You have to have brotherly community as well to hold you accountable or to even uplift you, whatever the case may be. And I feel like you have to have community with the Holy Spirit, with God and all of them, if you don't have a relationship with them, everything else is going to fall apart.
Right.
So if you don't have those relationships to help you in whatever it is, it's going to be a struggle. Once you have those, I feel like you have to speak it. I feel like that's the best advice I can give. For me, I'm not a huge... Thank you for saying you see me, how intense I am, because I don't be seeing it sometimes. I be.
Oh, I have the pictures even from.
Yeah, I be.
The one I posted in the chat.
Hey, I be nervous. Like when I be in church, I be scared to lift my hands. I be scared to do all that. But it's like I have to speak to myself. Like there was a time, I think it was last week or the week before that. I was like, God, on the way here, I was like, God, I'm just gonna praise you, and whatever happens, happens. So I went to the top floor. And I sat in the back because I don't know. I can't be in the front row doing it. So I sat in the very back. And whenever they started praise and worship, I lifted my hands and I said, God, no matter how I feel or how things seem or whatever, I'm still going to lift my hands and praise you in spite of. And in saying that, in spite of how I feel, in spite of how things seem, in spite of how embarrassed I feel, or maybe someone's looking at me, in spite of that, I'm still going to praise you. And when being vulnerable in that, the Lord, I felt like, was moving on me. Now, I didn't bust out in tears, you know what I'm saying, all that, but I did feel a change in my spirit because of me giving up the consciousness of, oh, I'm going to stop this so I don't get looked at. You know, pushing that to the side, I'm going to push it no matter what, and I'm going to do whatever God is calling me to. I feel like that helped me a lot. So I will say community and having an in spite of mentality is the best way for black men, to me.
Understand. And that's from the younger generation, too. Since I'm 40 and I'm an elder these
We up here,
days.
you know.
Yeah.
Respect your elders, you know, all of that.
I had to accept it once the kids in my neighborhood are like 20-year-olds start calling me school.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, well, what's up, school?
Thank God I ain't heard
I was like...
You know what's crazy? When I go to the gym and I play basketball, they be calling me Unc up there, and I'm like, bro, I'm like grade 24. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? And then when I be here with the teenagers and stuff, and they be like, oh, what's up? I'm like, I'm 24. What are you talking? But I think about when I used to be younger. I didn't call him Unc, but you know, I used to see them, and they weren't that much older. So now it's happening to me. It's like, why?
Yeah, whenever they start calling me school, I was like, yeah, nigga, you 40-something. All right, Willie, answer your own question, man.
Oh, man. Nah, to kind of piggyback on what Darrell talked about, one thing that came to mind was...
The scripture is...
I'm going there.
You're going to give me scripture.
You know I'm going there. But before I give scripture, the Lord just dropped on me, vulnerability creates intimacy. And so it made me think about, we all know the story, Resurrection Sunday is coming. And so Jesus is on the cross, and the first word that he speaks is the word Father. He doesn't mention his mother. He doesn't mention any of the disciples. He doesn't mention Judas, who's already had hung him. So he doesn't mention anybody else. He mentions Father. Why? Because he acknowledged the one who created him.
Yeah.
He acknowledged the relationship. And so vulnerability always creates intimacy. And if we're never vulnerable, there will never be any moments to where God can come in and shape our lives. And so, no, that was great to share. And that's something I'm learning too. Like you mentioned, as a black man, being vulnerable, even when we're in the services, man. I done got to a point now to where, like, I don't care. If people understood some of the stuff that I've encountered and gone through it, even now, like today's service.
What it took me to get here.
To get to this level, to lift my hands, to shed the tears, to cry out, all those different things. If people only knew my backstory, man, they would see why I have no shame of lifting my hands and crying out and dancing, man, because the word tells us that God inhabits the praises of his people. Yeah. And so God can inhabit what you don't give him.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
He can't inhabit what he can't rest, rule, and abide what you don't offer him. Yeah. And so I'm learning now, man, like, man, if people understood my backstory and the stuff that I've encountered, I have no problem doing any of those things, man, because we owe that to him.
Yes.
He's the creator.
That's the least we can do.
That's the least we can do. And so, But pivoting into my story, so my turning point was pretty much recently. April of 2023, man, is when I had a major foot surgery. And Darrell and Tez, they can attest to this because those are two guys that were definitely in my corner to help me navigate that season of my life. And so going through the surgery, having the aftermath and, trying to balance life, on one leg, literally, man. Like the wife is, trying to bathe me, and I have this knee scooter and leg propped up and got stitches, got 3 to 4 incisions, all these different mixed emotions going on mentally, man. I was definitely in the dark time and in the dark season and going through that, man. But I'm so grateful for my community. Like he mentioned, man, you can't walk this walk, man, by yourself. And so I was so grateful to have brothers like Tez and Darrell. Like, these guys literally was picking me up, bro, and taking me to physical therapy, taking me to doctor's appointments. My wife, Pastor Laura, people who worked with me, man. And I was so grateful for my community. People helped me get through that season of life. And so getting through that, getting better, going through physical therapy, strengthening my foot, strengthening, all the muscles, all those different things so I could have the ability to walk on my own. And it took me, the surgery was in April 23. I wasn't walking probably until maybe December. Wow. I couldn't even put a shoe on because my foot was still sensitive. Mm-hmm. And so, that was really, really, really heavy and dark time for me. But what I'm coming to realize is in order for olive oil, in order for you to get olive oil out of the olive has to be crushed.
Crushed, yes.
Yeah, it has to be crushed. Yes. And so there's no skipping the process.
Walk heavy, sir.
There's no skipping. And so God had to allow me to go through that season and have the community to help me get through that. And so fast forward now, January 2024, I'm still battling, going through this season. And, we already know the job market is scarce right now. So I'm applying for all these different jobs, all these different applications, getting all the thanks but no thanks. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's weighing on me, man. And then I got my wife working. She's the only one that's really bringing in most of the income. Mm-hmm. And so that does damage, to a man. Because as a man, we're taught to be providers. Yeah. We're taught to lead. We're taught to take care of the bills and all these different things. And so when the tables are turned and the season has shifted, I'm like, Lord, you got to help me, man. Yeah. This is hard. And so getting through that, I'm talking to certain people, and I connect with Rita. Shout out to Rita at the library. I had met with them a year prior because I was part of that Black History program, and she reached out to me. She's like, hey, can you be a part of our program? So I can't do it now. I'm still recovering. Can't really walk on my own yet. And then I flipped the script. I'm like, hey, man, y'all hiring? Yeah. Y'all hiring, man? Our brother's trying to get some money right now, man. My income is running low. Unemployment getting ready to run out, man. And so I'm like, man, I need a job. And so she's like, we got this library assistant position open for you. Get back with me. I'll send you the credentials, all those different things. So I showed it to Tamika. I'm like, babe, what you think I should do? And she's like, man, just go and take it and let's just see what happens. Mm-hmm. And so I take it. And, man, when I tell you, this has probably been one of the most joyous seasons of my life. Yeah. Not saying that that's exempt from trials and tribulations, because that's expected. Life gonna life regardless. Yeah. And so I go through that. I get through the job, man, and the Lord has allowed me to meet so many dope people working at the library, man. Of course, we have the podcast there, and then the community work that they do, and I'm meeting all these different people. And so, yeah, man, that was a turning point for me. And then even prior to that, coming out of that, my background is mainly warehouse. It's hard labor. Yeah. If anybody has worked in warehouse, y'all know, man, it is very, very hard labor. Very. And so I was with a company for 10 years. And so prior to me going through the process of my surgery, they laid me off in August of that same year. And so trying to figure out finances and all of that. And, yeah, man, that was a tough season for me. And so I thank God that he has me where he has me now, because I'll never go back to doing that again, man. Yeah. I'll never go back to doing hard labor, breaking my back. A lot of people don't know this, but prior to that surgery, I had another surgery in 2017. Yeah, y'all probably. Yeah, I was.
He stay tearing stuff up, man.
I had another surgery in 2017 because of all the strain on my body from heavy lifting. Yep. So to give y'all some context, I worked at a gun warehouse RSR group, and our main product was guns and ammunition. And so I'm on the FedEx and UPS trucks loading them. Most of these boxes are between 10 to 60 pounds. And so you got one person, the box coming down the conveyor belt, and conveyor belts, you coming out having to pick these boxes up on your own and stack them. You doing that repeatedly for 8 to 10 hours, sometimes 12, and so now you're putting a strain on your body, and so I ended up having a lower body surgery in 2017 before that one, and so yeah, man, all of that, man, was definitely tough, but I'm grateful for my community of people. So
Let me do this because I know y'all probably see us all looking at our phones. Happy birthday, Lynette.
Right.
right, I was wondering who was binging in there.
Lynette is not with us today. She is out celebrating her birthday.
Happy
G-Baby,
birthday,
happy
G-Baby.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Now stop texting us. We're trying to record the show. But
Yeah.
I saw you writing something down, sir.
So, how was the process of being able to deal with pride, or what you have to do with dealing with pride and receive help from other people, including your wife?
My God, that's
It's
heavy.
It's a
That's-
question. It's a good question to ask as a man,
Yeah.
That's heavy,
because
bro.
for us, pride it's everything.
Yeah.
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 And it can get in the way sometimes. So
Yeah,
go ahead,
yeah.
let us know.
Yeah, pride was, God deal with me immediately on that. That was quick, fast, in a hurry, man. I had to definitely set pride aside, man, knowing that my wife is here to help me. She's here to help me navigate this season. And like I've said before, as men, we're taught to be Superman.
Superman all the
even
time.
in our failures,
Yeah.
even in our frailties, even in the stuff that we go through. And so the Lord really, really had to deal with me and say, let me know, like, son, my daughter has you. She's your rib for a reason. And so you got to let that pride go and set that aside. And, when you look at the word ego, it really just stands for edging God out. And so, the Lord had to really, really deal with me and let me know that your wife got you, man. But I just felt like in my head as a man, like, man, she doing too much. I want to help.
Yeah.
She's working.
Yeah.
She's trying to take care of me. She's in school, managing all these different hats. And so I'm like, Lord, I want to help. But the Lord was like, no. Sit back, chill. Allow me to help you get through this process alongside your community of people. They're here for a reason. And so they know your heart. And I had to kick pride at the window because the word already tells us that pride comes before the fall, not after.
Yeah.
So
I think it's commendable because a lot of men in a situation like that would try to make a way to make something happen.
Yeah.
Just because I'm the man, so even if I have to go out here and
about to
do
flip
something I'm not supposed to do, yes,
Flip something.
I'm about to flip. I'm about to turn $5 into 20 in 5 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the one thing? I don't want to say selling out, but living the life for Christ at a young age for you. What is the one thing that you've learned about yourself that you didn't know before Christ?
Or revise the question again.
What is the one thing that you've learned about yourself living for Christ at the level that you are that you didn't know about yourself before?
That I didn't know before. I guess I would say. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little backstory before I say it.
Let's go.
So I have a book that I'm reading right now. It's called No More Excuses by Tony Evans, and the book's about becoming the man that God called you to be. So in the book, the first chapter talks about I think it's called a athlete's limp or something like that. So the example is, imagine if you're on a Super Bowl play, right? And you get a ball thrown to you and you drop the ball, and whenever you drop the ball, you pretend like your leg hurt, like, oh, I got a cramp, as the reason why you dropped the ball. But in reality, you just didn't prepare enough mentally or whatever, and you dropped the ball. He says that's how most men are. They want to make an excuse for why they didn't do something instead of just owning up to the mistake they did. There's nothing wrong with it. You dropped the ball, that's fine. But owning up to it rather than making an excuse to try to get either pity or whatever the case may be. So in that, I feel like it was showing me, the mirror was showing me that I make a lot of excuses in my life for things that I either don't do or don't want to do. Instead of just being honest with why I don't want to do it. Or, you know what I'm saying? Because when you are honest with, I don't know, I don't want to take the trash out or whatever kids don't want to do.
Yeah.
Right? Mom, I don't want to take the trash out. Why don't you want to take the trash out? Well, because I'm playing the game. Okay, well, if you take the trash out right now, you can play the game for extra 30 minutes, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And owning up to that, you might get something that you may not have thought you would have got. But instead, making excuses, maybe she didn't tell you to turn the game off. And you still got to take the trash out, So, like, that was showing
facts.
me, it's like, whatever I have going on in life, instead of making excuses for it, if I don't do it and I need to be doing it, just do it. And then if I have been doing it but not to the degree, just like there's no negative to owning up to whatever it is. If the only negative that you possibly could have from not owning up to something, I ain't gonna lie, I can't even think of one. Yeah. From what I've experienced in this past, I think I've been reading it for the past month and a half. There's no downside to ever just owning up. Like, I have conversations with my uncle all the time, like, oh, well, I don't do this, and this. He was like, well, then just do it. Oh, yeah, you're right. Like it's literally that simple. There's nothing, if someone makes you feel bad for not doing something, there's something saying about them rather than yourself. Because you are man enough to say, hey, I'm not doing this, or I want to do this, I'm just not doing it because of whether fear or whatever. And they're like, well, something's wrong with you because you... No. Yeah. As a man, you should be able to open up to whether it's your community, your wife, whatever, and say, hey, I ain't gonna lie, I struggle with X, Y, and Z. And once you get the correction or help that you need, move on from there without getting put down from that. Yeah. So I feel like for me, that's the biggest thing. Learning to not give excuses, and just owning up to my mistakes and faults. I feel like that's something that I used to do a lot. Wow. And now I try my best not to do. Right. Make sure, put it out there. You gonna make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna be perfect. But more than not, doing it whether you make mistakes or not.
Definitely.
I got a question for my brother to the left. This guy right here.
The close left.
Mr. T.
The immediate left.
The immediate left. Going back, to your season, you mentioned transitioning from being a temp to being permanent. What was the mindset? What was the faith level for you, knowing that even though you are a temp, it may or may not be a possibility that I may not get hired on or this season or whatever the case may be? What was your mindset dealing with that temp season as a man, knowing that you got to provide and do all of that?
So temp season as a man is it's rough because you always have those responsibilities, and then going back to the prior thing, you don't want to have to depend on somebody, but you can easily get into a place where you have to depend on the person because they can let you go at any moment. Yeah, this might be your last week and you don't even know it, but they're not going to tell you until Friday that it's your last week. I was actually a temp for many years.
Wow.
At the same place, so I was also battling, am I good enough?
We talked about that.
They're part of worthy. Yeah.
And that's hard to deal with as a man.
Yeah.
Not being good enough. When I'm supposed to be all of these things, clearly I'm not something because you haven't hired me on. Mm-hmm. But I still got to smile in your face and get this check and act like nothing's wrong. Yeah. Because if I stir up anything, you can just let me go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a reason.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't want to deal with that. Don't want to deal with him. I don't like his attitude. So I had to keep portraying the same attitude in the midst of not feeling like I was good enough.
Oof. That's heavy.
Knowing in myself that I'm better than what you're giving me credit for.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's heavy.
Yeah.
Oof. All right. My God. I just want to do a round table. You know what I'm saying? What you got, brother?
Ask it again.
For him?
No.
The overall question? Yeah. So, what was the turning point in your life to where you said, as long as I continue to do this, I'll never go back to that?
I forgot to mention about a year or so ago, I was hit with Bell's palsy, which shut down the complete left side of my face. And if you guys have been watching over the past year, or even watching now, you see I still don't have the feeling in the left side of my face. The nerves are completely dead. I told God, I was like, God, if you allow me, because I couldn't even talk, like I was slurring everything because literally everything split down the middle, tongue and everything included is dead. I told God, if you give me the ability to talk again, because all I knew is podcasting music.
Right.
This is how I was making money. Or even when working at the hotel, it was me talking. It's like, God, if you give me a little bit of my tongue back to I can talk, I'll never stop again.
Wow.
Like people are gonna literally have to tell me to shut up. But then I had to get over what people see now and what people saw. Like whenever the man of God prophesied to me at the prophetic summit.
Oh yes, Bishop Todd Hall.
Whenever people see me that has never seen me before, and they see that this side of my face doesn't work, it's like, ugh. Like, you look strange. And I battled with that because I was like, I don't want new people to come on the Fresh podcast or see me singing somewhere and see this me and be turned off.
Wow.
So I had to battle, and I talked to Dad, Bishop Sherman C.G. Allen. What's up, sir? Congratulations. You over there in Africa.
Africa.
Right now. You're doing it, Dad.
Across the waters.
Doing it, Pops. I was like, I need to get over this. And I asked him how. He was like, don't get over it. Just use it as your testimony. Because whenever God does what he does to heal you, you have all of these people who have gathered around this podcast who have seen you from whenever you couldn't talk to where you can talk a little bit. Your face had no nerves. Now you have a little bit of nerves. And then they see the complete work that God has done to where he restores you better than what you were before your condition. So I was like, Dad, you know what? You're right. I was like, God, if you give me a little bit, I'm good.
That's heavy.
I'm good.
That's heavy. That takes me back to the story of the 10 lepers. The text says, as they went, they were healed.
Yeah.
And so, however God does it, whether he heals you immediately, whether he heals you gradually, you know, God is still going to get the glory no matter how you feel about it.
It's true.
And so, yeah. For you, I guess when we wrapping this up, how have you been since Bishop Todd Hall has given you that prophecy? Where have you been mentally?
Mentally, I'm not going to lie, whenever I first heard it, I was like, yes, I believe it. I was ready to run. I was like, y'all didn't watch out. I'm back. And then I got home, and it was just me. Everything was quiet, and it was like, God, did you really mean that? Because what happened is, right after Prophetic Summit, there's another guy on YouTube who started the allegation videos about Prophet Todd Hall.
Wow.
So the human me, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, God, if the allegations is Todd Hall has done this, and this, right after he just gave me this word, how much of his word was real?
That's heavy.
So I was like, God,
It can be a struggle for sure.
Yeah.
I want to believe that you're going to heal me because the man of God said. I want to believe that, you know, you've given me this ability to write and that you're going to bless because the man of God said. But it's a struggle.
Yeah. Wow.
And then it's like as time went on, I start talking to Dad more. Like that's like the best outlet that I have in my life right now. Like I don't care what time it is. I can text Dad at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he gonna pretend like he was woke the whole time. And just being able to ask questions has rebuilt my belief or the faith that God said that he was going to do, because now it's like, it's not the when will it happen? It's just like, God, I'm just glad you said it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That part. Before we go, though, today's show is sponsored by Diane Kleins. She is a Legal Shield independent associate offering legal services starting at $29.95 and identity theft starting at $19.95. They also provide a will, living will, help with moving violations, contract reviews, and other consultations. For more information, reach out to Diane Kleins at 214-881-5225, or you can email her at, go to the website, dskleins.ladiesofjustice.com. Let me tell y'all, the Godson is truth. I've gotten out of a lot of tickets.
Reach out.
Reach out. If it works, it works.
Whenever they was doing the stimulus checks, I cashed a check at Bank of America. Y'all said y'all name. And I put the money in the ATM. Y'all know how much these stimulus checks was.
Right.
ATM malfunctioned. Every single dime I had just cashed. Bank of America told me, Mr. Gilmore, our cameras picked you up as you drove up to the ATM.
And then they off. Convenient.
And didn't come back on until the time you drove away.
Oh, that's real convenient.
I was like, y'all niggas play with my money. You mean to tell me y'all camera blacked out for 2-3 minutes while I put money in, and time I hit drive, it came back on. It was like, yes, sir. No sweat. Hello, Legal Shield, how can I help you? I was out one night at the club, no lie. And my phone starts going off. Ding, 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 ding. I looked at the thing. Bank of America app said you have $1,200 deposited in your bank account. I'm like, what? And I'm thinking, what happened? Next day, I called my auntie. I was like, auntie, I got money in the bank. She was like, so now check your email. What Legal Shield done was they basically wrote a letter to Bank of America, and they were like, we need all of your camera work for that whole complete 24 hours to validate what you're saying happened with Mr. Gilmore's money. So we subpoenaed all your cameras. Because they didn't have that camera, they had to give my money. And it was all because of one letter from Legal Shield. Gotcha, baby.
Wow.
Well, go ahead.
Well, that is it. We are closing this segment of the show.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, man. We got some more heat, some more fire for y'all,
We coming
man.
back.
We coming back for our sports therapy segment.
Yeah,
Let's
man.
get it.
This is your guy, Willie
Wait,
Dean.
special thanks to our guest.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
my God.
Yeah.
JJ.
Yeah.
JJ in the house.
JJ in the building.
If y'all want JJ back again, just say yeah. Let's type yes or thumbs up,
Yeah,
or just
yeah.
heart
Let
the
us
video
know.
that he's talking. That just keep on hitting the button.
Facts.
So we can
I gotta fast and pray about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He
see.
ain't got no choice.
He don't have a choice.
He ain't got no choice.
He
Shaq.
here every Sunday, so sure we gonna kidnap him. But man, thank you so much for
you,
being a
brother.
part of today's show, man.
Yeah.
All right, now you can go on and do your thizzle.
To my left, I want y'all to show y'all social media handles, how people can follow y'all, man. We always gotta close out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this
A little too happy. Hold on. You say you want me to do what?
Yeah.
we was ready, man. We gotta close out the show that way.
Let's see. Instagram and TikTok. MR2 MBS. That is Mary Bravo Sam, Mr. Toombs with a 2.
All right.
And then, of course, Facebook is just my name, Montez Toombs. And that is it. What you got, sir?
You got the red.
All right, so
He said,
for
"Huh?"
Instagram,
That's the whole script.
He done got live now. He got his turn.
for Instagram, it's gonna be it's your boy _ITS.YA.BOII_. Okay, that's Instagram. Let's go to TikTok, where I'll be more active at. You know what I'm saying? You can follow me on there
TikToks are funny.
with
Yeah.
DKG, stands for Demon Killer Gang. Shout out to DKG Cop. Demon Killer Gang J. Or it can be at Jesus Love JJ, whichever one works. It should be a handsome, caramelized man on there with a little fro.
So if he ugly, it's not the same person.
Normalized man.
Yeah. I be on mainly TikTok, but I be on Instagram and TikTok. Don't be on Twitter or Snapchat, so you gotta look if you got those. I'm sorry.
So we are going to have his down at the bottom, like the whole entire line.
Yeah. I'll put it in the description for you.
Them lower thirds, we're going to make sure we have that for you, man. It's your boy Taz. You already know. You can find me at I am Trevayne. I am TREVAYNE on all social media. Of course, you can follow all the podcasts that are under the Spotlight Podcast Network by simply looking under Spotlight Podcast Network. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. That part.
Hey, well, I'll close it out. You can follow me on Instagram. That is W Strickland, STURICKLIN, not LAND. A lot of y'all be messing my last name up, man.
Strickland.
Get it right. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's LIN, please and thank you. TikTok. TikTok is Willie Beam, and y'all know what it is. BEAMEN, man. Y'all go follow me. This is the Intro Podcast. We will be back. Don't go nowhere.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Holla.
Peace.